Parent Trap. It's the great debate that never seems to reach a resolution. Does homework help or harm our kids?
And what about the effect on parents?
Well, let's talk about us, Kylie.
A few years ago, parenting expert Dr. Justin Coulson wrote a letter to his children's teachers outlining why his family does not believe in homework. He used it every year for all of his 6 girls in primary school until they finally stopped giving it. So what's behind Justin's rationale? And is his approach justified? For more, we're joined by author Dr. Justin Coulson. Great to see you again, Justin.
Morning.
Good morning.
Explain this letter that you use and you sent it off to the teachers. What exactly did it say?
Well, essentially it said, we really appreciate how much work you put in to help our children learn, but what we've discovered is that homework's actually a bit of a problem for a handful of reasons. There's no research to support the use of homework at home in primary school. Homework actually reliably undermines children's learning on average, with a couple of exceptions, reading and doing learning-based projects, which, you know, that's sort of a side topic. But also it gets in the way of family life. It's a burden for teachers. It means that the kids can't do all of the great stuff that we'd like them doing after school, like, I don't know, their piano lessons or their art or drama classes or learning a sport or playing with friends or just helping out around the house and being part of the family.
So, Justin, I mean, it sounds like, you know, it's wrong. You're saying that it's wrong. We shouldn't be doing it. Why then are so many schools doing it?
This is a fabulous question, Larry, and we don't know the answer. I mean, John Hattie is one of the most respected educators, not just in Australia but in the world, and he was just in the media again last week saying there is no reliable evidence suggesting in any way that homework is beneficial on average for children before high school. The Victorian government did an inquiry into homework a couple of years ago, and they were quite generous in their assessment of it, and they still couldn't find any good reasons for us to do it in primary school. High school's a different story, but primary school, it's reliably not leading to any positive results in terms of learning or academic achievement, and in far too many cases it actually undermines our kids' learning outcomes.
I'm really interested how the teachers responded to you, Justin, when you sent off this letter. How did they respond?
Typically, I've had a good response, but I've published the. I had one teacher who was quite offended and really upset and was, you know, saying, "Well, how can you tell me how to do my job? You're not a teacher." But typically, the response has been great. Unfortunately, not everyone gets the same response. So I've put it online at my website, and a lot of people have sort of copied it and adapted it for their family. And sometimes teachers don't respond well to it at all, and I guess in those instances, as parents, we've then got to make the decision and work out, well, is the school going to be allowed to tell me what to do in my own home after hours, or am I going to demand that my kids do a second shift when they get home? I don't think that schools should be able to do that, with the exception that we know absolutely unquestionably that when our children are reading every single day, that unquestionably predicts academic learning and outcomes. There's so much value in our young children reading and spelling and practicing how to understand vocabulary and the words that they're looking at.
So you say there are 2 exceptions. Reading is one. What's the other then?
Learning-based projects. So the kids might come home from school and say, "Oh, we learned about these bugs today," and so, "Oh, let's get on the internet and have a look at that." So we can do some project-based work with them, or writing a speech or something like that.
The projects are the ones to skip.
Well, no, what Justin's saying is send them out into the garden to find bugs.
I know, but when that big project comes home, that's the one you don't want to be...
I've never seen you do so much overtime.
You do say that your stance on homework has softened over the years. Why is that?
A few years ago, I was pretty hardcore. I just said absolutely no homework, don't do it, no way in the world, it's bad for your kids. If they're in primary school, don't do it at all. I've softened for a couple of reasons. First of all, there's some kids who actually need some structure in their lives because when they go home, they've got nothing else to do except stare at a screen and lose themselves in nothingness, in this void. If that's what they're doing, then we want them to be doing something productive and positive. Additionally, most research is based on averages, which means that on average it doesn't help. But there's probably some children out there for whom homework can be beneficial. Right. The evidence suggests it's hard to find, but, you know, and the third and final reason is some kids just love doing it. I've got kids who, in spite of me sending the letter to school, they still wanted to do their homework, and we just like, you know, OK, go and do it for 10 or 15 minutes and then come back. But if we've got important stuff to do, like play or swim in the pool or go to the beach or the park or ride our bikes or clean the dishes, we're doing that instead.
OK.
It's interesting because kids don't like to be different, do they? So if they're in a classroom with 29 other kids and they're the only one who's not bringing in their homework, the reverse psychology thing happens, doesn't it? They go, oh, Dad, I want to be like everyone else.
Pretty much. And so if you've got children who love doing homework and if it's not affecting them negatively and they're doing well at school, it's not... I don't think it's going to hurt them, but it's not going to help them either.
Justin, a fascinating letter. Would you do me a favour? Would you reconfigure that and send it off to the boss here? Because sometimes at night they send me research notes and things, and it's really interfering with my Instagram time.
And your pool time.
And my pool and bike and park time.
Yeah, time for a workout, time for the kids. How dare they?
I know, right? So if you could send that letter in to here, I'd appreciate it.
Dear Executive Producer.
Yes. Thank you, mate. Always good to talk to you.
Thanks, guys.
Interesting.